I will set the zeitgeist straight.
The movie has too much of the cast in it.
I'd buy that for $1.
Coen Brothers' latest is a big let-down scheme.
I hate you for making me hear that.
I need a brain, I need a heart, I need courage, I need a refund. Like, what are you talking about? I want to square off on this guy at a dinner party.
The music was thick.
So far, you have not dazzled me. I'm just letting you know. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Off the Mark. Good chat on bad takes of great movies. I'm Dave Columbo.
I'm Mick Andrews.
And today we are going to talk about the movie that proved that the moon landing didn't happen. Of course, I'm talking about The Shining. Do not put Stephen King's name next to it. He wants nothing to do with it. We are doing Kubrick's loose interpretation of the Stephen King novel, The Shining. So our podcast, we like to riff through people who got it wrong, people who had awful takes about The Shining. I don't know. I feel like I run into someone who hates The Shining at every dinner party that I go to. Any place, like, somebody is like, ugh. They think they're this like Stephen King purist.
Yeah, it's one of the more polarizing movies that we've chosen so far, and that has always confused me. I find this unambiguously to be one of the most unsettling movies. It's up there with it's just one of those movies that stays with you. I love it. It messed me up the first time I watched it. There was so much in there where people, like, I think it's one of those things where some people see something that is unexplained by the movie that they don't, like, hold your hand through. Like, this is a former ghost who had a fetish for hooking up with people in dog costumes. That's never explained in the movie at all. And it's like, for some people, they're like, well, then therefore that's dumb. For me, I'm like, I have to learn everything about what happened in this.
Yeah.
I got to go read the book. I got to go read some theories. It just stuck with me for weeks.
For some audiences, they're like, ooh, loose plot thread there.
Exactly.
I can't believe Kubrick didn't think to follow that. Yeah, I will say that I was late to The Shining. I think as a kid, I just never had an opportunity to watch it. And then maybe
Dave, I promise this was not meant for you as a kid. So don't worry about it having missed it as a kid.
But there was but there was, like, when you start to really get into film, it was on my to-do list for a very long time. It was one of those, and it was one of those where I kept trying to watch it at 11 p.m. after a tough day, and I fell asleep like 2 or 3 times. There are movies out there that are fucking brilliant, but you have to take a nap and then watch them. You can't. And for some people, they're up all night. It's not a big thing. For me, like, the slow pans, the long takes, the conversation that within the framework of the movie is riveting, intense, and uncomfortable, and the music is adding and the suspense is slowly building. But, like, if you're not in that headspace, another one like that was Blade Runner for me. Like, I couldn't get 3 times. I couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and this is the same thing with The Shining, I knew I was wrong. I knew I can see.
It was user error was the issue.
Right. I know this is brilliant. I know this is incredible. This is extremely well made. I'm just not in a headspace where I can take it in. And I think that's the problem that happens with a lot of people, where they think that a movie has to happen at you, and it needs to, there's nothing that you need to bring to a movie at any point, especially modern movies. Everything is like, oh, just it'll happen. I can be looking at another screen and get all the information. I can be playing Candy Crush and get. Shining is not that movie.
100%.
They don't make movies.
You have
like
to
that.
work to enjoy the movie a little bit. I think that, like, the ideal time to watch this movie is like 7, 8 o'clock at night, not right before bed. You want to have some energy. I suggest eating beforehand, so you're not thinking about food afterwards, or like your mind can focus on what you're doing. But I also think that at the end of the movie, you should have to stay up for a little bit. You should not, like, it should have to, like, percolate within you, or, like, settle a little bit for you to be like, damn, like, all the little twists and turns in it, the stuff that you saw that was like, hey, that didn't make a ton of sense until you realize that, like, yeah, no, it's not supposed to. Like the logic of the building itself doesn't make sense. The impossible window and all that stuff, the twists and turns of the hallways don't work under any set of circumstances.
Let's
It's
talk
got a
about that
simmer.
for a second. I mean, it probably is the most obsessed over movie. I mean, what other movie has a documentary where someone goes, hey, you see the way that binder is sitting on that table? That's clearly an extension of his penis, and he's talking about his manhood when he talks about the Overlook. And it's like, is it really? That documentary, there were parts of it where I was like, whoa. And then there were other parts where I was just like, dude, that's not there. That's just not there.
Yeah, there were a lot of them in that documentary. It's a great documentary.
It's
and
great.
Everybody who's a Shining fan should watch it for no other reason than, like, for every great theory in there that kind of like makes you sit back and like, I gotta go rewatch the movie. There's an equally like, all right, well, I guess we needed to make this an hour and a half long, so let's get some more theories in here.
Yeah.
Like, that skiing poster is clearly a minotaur. It's like, no, it's not. Like,
I remember trying so hard to make that work in my head
because I wanted it because I'm hooked. I wanted it.
No, and I am Dr. Conspiracy Theory. I am like, I love the idea of like, yeah, Kubrick faked the moon landing and wanted everyone to know it if you were watching like closely enough. he literally like lied for the government and lied to all Americans, but decided to tell people who go see his movie about ghosts and psychics. They're the ones who are getting the real story. It's amazing.
I love it.
What is your take?
And all of that is so laughable to me until they show you shots of him like adjusting individual soup cans in the pantry. And I'm like, oh, he really is the most like careful director of all time. Like I don't think there is a single element of subtext that he did not put in there intentionally,
Were you surprised? I heard the legacy of Kubrick and would read all these stories and all of these interviews where people are talking about how meticulous he is. I was not expecting when like I'm watching behind the scenes of The Shining and he's just like, Shelley, fucking do the scene, Shelley. Like I wasn't
how
expecting,
he talks to them, yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting like a dude, like a guy with like a Long Island accent. Like I was expecting like, and then in this scene, I do believe, well,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he was way.
He needed
more
to be a lot more
earth.
Hitchcockian in order to meet your mystique. Yeah,
but like the behind the scenes, he's like, so you're gonna take the axe and you're just gonna like, and I'm just kind of like,
just go nuts with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting him to be so chill. Well, not chill,
true.
but like,
never meet your heroes, never hear them talk, never hear them talk to other people.
Yeah.
Just know nothing about your heroes. That's the key.
What is your take on the whole idea of how much I'm always typically a purist of like author's intent. I don't really believe death of the author very much, but the idea of adapting Stephen King's novel and taking what was he getting out of Stephen King's novel where he's like, this is great, let's change everything? Like, why even make the movie?
Yeah.
I love what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does kind of start and stop at the names of the characters and the haunted hotel.
Yeah.
And I guess the existence of like Shining as an IP,
Shining trademark,
the Shining universe,
yeah, the Shineverse,
yeah, no, it's interesting because there are a few truly terrifying elements of the book that are whole cloth not included in the movie at all. And I don't know if if there were ever, like, I don't know maybe enough about the lore of the production to know if they were shot and cut or considered and cut or written and cut, but like the hedge animals attacking Danny,
yeah,
is was terrifying to read when I first read it. You know, just a couple of scenes like that. Jack's travel back in time is a lot, or like mental kind of fugue state, however you want to interpret it, is a lot more drawn out and developed, and you meet a lot more of the characters. You get to know a lot more about O'Grady, the former caretaker, and how messed up that the whole past is. Apart from just like seeing the kids and then seeing, you know, whatever you see of the kids in the movie. I don't know why you drop that stuff if you're trying to make a horror movie.
Right.
I don't know what the choice was there.
It's probably the movie that is the least like the source material that I like the most. Usually I'm like, because you got to think, if somebody read the book, they're immediately going to come in. I mean, it's so funny how like we're talking about like the provisos of being able to enjoy this movie. One of them is take a nap before you see it, make sure you eat, and another is don't read the book because you're going to be obsessed with the differences. We
expect a lot of our fans.
Yeah, you know. It's surreal that I don't know. I love what it is, and only Kubrick could have made it. It's just interesting that it's so not the framework that he was starting from.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my favorite aspect of The Shining that to this day I still can't think of another movie that does what it does? If you ever read Save the Cat, the screenwriting book, talks about double mumbo jumbo. Like if you have zombies, don't add vampires. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like to have two different kinds of magic. The story of The Shining reads like you've got your high friend who's just like adding shit while you're pitching. You're like, so there's this like, you know, mysterious ghost filled awesome hotel that's very scary, and there's ghosts in every room and they're haunting these people. And then your friend's just like, yeah, and what if like the son is like psychic? Yeah, I mean, sure. I want to focus like on the fact that it's driving the dad crazy and he's going to kill the family. And it's, yeah, but like, what if the son is like part of this like ancient tradition of people who like can like read minds? Yeah, but it's just him and the family, so he doesn't really need to read anybody's mind.
It's like, oh, don't worry about it. The cook's psychic too.
Yeah. It helps him get some ice cream. He gets ice cream out of it. You know, it'll be great. It doesn't. You
want to go get some ice cream? Ice cream sounds great right now.
It's two stories, Stephen King. It's two books. I know you don't need more of a reason to write more books, but like you took your psychic child story and you took your haunted house story and you were like, fuck it, you know?
Yeah, let's mush it together. Yeah, you got your psychic child in my haunted house. You got your haunted house in my psychic child. I wonder if was it written during King's kind of like massive cocaine era? Because I wonder if you can track when he, like how high he is based on the frequency with which he throws in completely unrelated elements of a different story into this.
I just love it. I love it so much. All right, shall we jump in?
Yeah, please.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. This one has an editor's note tagging at the beginning and the end of it, which I find quite interesting, that I think you'll like. All right. The Shining, May 23rd, 1980, on a budget of $19 million. You made The Shining for $19 million.
Under 20 mil, yeah.
Worldwide gross of $48 million.
Really?
Didn't do anything. This was hard to kind of really like calculate. On Box Office Mojo, I saw that it was like 10 theaters. So I was like, that doesn't seem right to me.
I'm surprised because in every movie set in the 70s, 80s era, they're all in movie theaters watching The Shining. It's in everything.
That's a great point.
Every person in any movie is going to the movies to
It's
watch The
easier
Shining.
than putting like 1980 Los Angeles
No,
at the bottom
you
of your movie. Is just have them be
dated
watching
immediately based on they're sitting in Red Rum.
this. Red Rum. Oh wow, man, the blood out of the elevators, man. Yeah, great point. It was hard to see where it stacked up on Box Office Mojo. It was kind of going like, it was just only telling you 3 other movies that were out. It was second behind Empire Strikes Back, which of course, like, we're not gonna. Can you imagine to be at a time where you're like, should we go see The Empire Strikes Back or The Shining? But let's jump in here. The Huntington Park Daily Signal, May 23rd, 1980. 2020 note: Stanley Kubrick's The Shining has over the years become one of my favorite films.
Oh, I love it.
But that sure wasn't the case when it opened in May 1980. Here's my review from its opening weekend. So, did I have it right then, or has the film's reputation softened my take on it? Ooh.
Oh, I like that.
I
too.
like that. I like that's awareness.
It's A, awareness, and B, not admitting that he was wrong. Importantly, what he says is, has the film's reputation softened my awareness, not the quality of the film. Was I wrong about?
Was I wrong, or was the wool pulled over all of our eyes?
Yeah. Have we all been deceived?
Is the world wrong? All right, here we go. Less than 30 seconds into The Shining, master director Stanley Kubrick's new film, in a highly aerial shot of a car winding through a stunningly beautiful mountain scenery, the shadow of the helicopter is clearly visible for several seconds. Coming from the director who proved his genius for perfection in such films as 2001: A Space Odyssey, Barry Lyndon, and A Clockwork Orange, the viewer figures there must be some specific reason why such an obvious slip was left in the finished product. About 30 minutes into the film, the reason becomes painfully clear. Nobody cared enough to bother removing it. The Shining is a major disappointment. Billed as a masterpiece. I do
love the idea that this idiot spent the first 30 minutes waiting for the helicopter payoff. That's
yeah.
That's pretty.
They're going to explain why they broke the fourth wall just then. Who is following them?
Where's this helicopter?
Who's following this family in a helicopter? Like, and why? The Shining is a major disappointment. Billed as a masterpiece of modern horror, the film is patchy at best, embarrassingly amateur at its worst. Aside from an occasional flash of brilliance, it is tedious and the fatal blow, not all that scary. It's very confusing because it's like, yeah, it is slow. Yeah, it is tedious. It's not embarrassingly amateur in any way, shape, or form.
No.
It's very, very hard to like defend individual points, except to just say you're wrong.
It's also like, I think it falls under the same kind of camp as The Thing, in that like it's a slow burn. It's tedious by design. It's meant to make you uncomfortable in pacing. It's meant to like you're meant to be lulled into kind of a certain sense of like nothing's really happening, so that when something does happen, it's startling and unsettling. It's the movie. I don't know if the movie is supposed to be. Maybe it's just modern sensibility has changed so much. I don't see this movie as scary. I would agree with that. I find it deeply unsettling. I find it a movie that lingers with you and makes you have to think through all the stuff that happens in it. Every time I watch it, whoever I watched it with, I will text them for the rest of the week. Like, how did this work? And how did this work? And it's just like it's just a movie that stays with you.
And like you're saying, it's not necessarily scary, but whatever emotion it is eliciting is not an emotion I've ever gotten from a movie before.
Yeah.
It does something extremely unique. And if you can't appreciate that, I don't know what to really tell you.
Yeah. It just feels like someone went like, oh, this is a horror movie because somebody else, I doubt, like, you know, somebody else decided it would be classified as a horror movie.
Right.
He walked into this, or she walked into this thinking, like, why am I not being scared the same way that I would be at like The Blob or whatever else was out in 1980. It's not that kind of movie. It's meant to sit in your head and kind of burrow in there and just kind of take up your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Here's the infamous let me try to explain the plot in one sentence that we get from these.
Love it.
Based on Stephen King's grisly novel about a mad hotel caretaker who wants to chop his wife and psychic son to bits with a large axe while the place is closed for the winter, the movie could have been a real screamer. The story deals heavily in psychic phenomena, insanity, ghosts, possession, and bloody violence. In most cases, put them all together, they spell horror. Here, the result is deadly tedium. Aside from Kubrick's apparent inability to successfully mesh the elements of the story, the entire project is booby-trapped by an outlandishly inadequate performance by Jack Nicholson.
Whoa!
Yeah. Now, if you don't know what's happening or you're not following and you're like, why is he standing next to the window in a green turtleneck going
Yeah.
for 45 seconds uncut, it comes off weird. It does come off jarring. He's not the Jack from the book. He's not having a full breakdown from a noble and organic, kind-hearted place. He's kind of nuts from the beginning. It's by design. He's already, but here's the thing. Like I've met in my travels at least 5 people who were a lot like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
just waiting for a hotel to take them.
They're literally ready to snap.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been at parties where someone's like, just talk to their wife in a way where you're like, let me explain something to you.
Oh God.
When I am fucking writing, get the fuck out of the room. And we're just kind of like, oh, okay, I'll
cool. Yeah.
yeah. Like these people exist and he's crushing it. It's weird. It's strange to bring up the Donner Party to your son, like, you know, almost at the beginning of the movie. Like it's weird, but it's not, I don't know.
And it's also, I just think that once you accept that character is what he's going for, the acting is perfect. The acting is spot on. I don't think that he's a problem. I think Shelley Duvall is incredible in this movie. There's such the movie doesn't work without you rooting for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, or having her ability to kind of humanize Jack in a way, because you really only see him, like you said, you see him at like, 11:59 waiting to strike midnight. You don't see a lot of the fall. So her characterization of him and her discussions about him with, Scatman Crothers' character and, and other people helps humanize him in a way. Her conversations about him with Danny, what's going on to him with Danny, help kind of like, you need somebody to root for. It creates this kind of like Alien and Ripley kind of dynamic in the hotel.
The scene when she first interrupts him while he's writing and he snaps at her, she just like all her lines are like, okay, and she's like heartbroken, and she doesn't understand what's going on, and it is absolutely riveting. There are times where like Shelley Duvall, where like I can't tell if I like the performance or not, where like it's so flighty and it's so different than Jack. You're kind of like, how the fuck did these people fall in love? Like, this is crazy. But she's so kind, she's so sweet, she's so innocent. Watching her like have to deal with him is half the terror in the movie. Yeah. And it's beautifully done. All right. From the opening frames of the film, it's obvious that Nicholson, as
you really can't let that opening sequence go, can he?
No. From the helicopter scene, from the opening frames of the film, it's obvious that Nicholson, as the maniacal father, is off his rocker. His demonic eyebrows, which are shaped like bell curves, twitch uncontrollably up and down.
That's not fair. That's not his fault.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's true. That's why he became the Joker too. His eyes dart unceasingly back and forth. When speaking to his son, who suspects his father's motives, Nicholson intones, "I wish we could stay here forever." And we immediately know this guy belongs in a foam rubber closet. In mugging and hamming his way through the film.
By the way, thank you for pointing out the key tension of the whole movie.
Right.
Thank you for explaining to the viewer. You got there. We are all wishing that these people were not trapped in a hotel together for a whole season. This man is unstable. You got that gold star there.
In mugging and hamming his way through the film, Nicholson simply destroys any possible suspense the movie might have had. If he had given any impression of teetering on the brink of a blow-up, rather than having thrown himself in the insanity feet first, as he does here, The Shining might have been able to sustain some level of anticipation. As it is, we wish he would just get out his axe and get it over with. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. The tension isn't, oh my God, is this guy slowly descending into madness? That's not the tension of the movie. The tension of the movie is it's got him.
Yeah.
Very, very early on, we know it has him. Can they get out in time? That's the tension of the movie.
It's about figuring out what the hell is going on, recognizing that he's fucked. Like, how do we get out of here?
And you're absolutely right. Like it would be a different movie to tell the story of like his slow descent into madness, and there are moments where he could really like kind of come back and like. But that would be every other movie I've ever seen that's done this kind of idea, which is like, I'm back for a second, honey. Oh my God! Like
I can't believe I just did that. Again. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 100%.
And you can tell that that Kubrick had no interest in making that movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
No interest.
No, I agree. I'm fine with the hotel. I'm fine with him being screwed from the minute he walks into the hotel. In fact, the whole idea is he never left. He's been there the whole time. Like, that's what, I mean, the ending is deliberately ambiguous, but that is one interpretation, is that like, he's always been the caretaker there. So it would not make sense for it to be like, I was once one of you. He never was. He never was. So
yeah, I've always been absolutely floored in an era where with the internet, every movie cliffhanger, ambiguous ending has kind of been answered, or that the director has like since gone on a podcast and been like, yeah, it was the sled, and we're like, oh, the top, it meant that he was not in a dream. Like there seems to be an answer for everything, but The Shining just keeps going of like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And Kubrick is not going to come back from the dead to just be like, it was the indigenous burial site.
It really is one of the best parts about the movie. I love a good, and like we've said, this might be one of the huge reasons why it's divisive, because people love it or hate it. But I love an ambiguous ending. I love a we're not sure. I love a good The Thing kind of like, let's just wait it out. I've got all the time in the world kind of ending of like, do we know? Yeah. Do we not know? And then it allows nerds like you and me to spend the rest of our lives fighting over what we think we saw on camera and whether or not we think what we saw was deliberate. Like,
as with all Kubrick films, the photography is first rate. Filmed at Timberline Lodge near Mount Hood in Oregon, the movie, photographed by John Alcott, captures the haunting beauty of the mountains in the wintertime. Clearly, there is a higher intelligence behind The Shining. There are certainly well-crafted moments of horror and early shots of the young boy riding his tricycle through the hallway of the hotel, nicely foreshadowing the later brilliant sequence in which he is pursued through a hedge maze by his axe-wielding old man. I would think that the previous scene in the hedge maze is more the foreshadowing to the hedge maze scene.
Certainly sets that up better than
okay.
Yeah.
there is a scene where they're walking through the hedge maze. So yeah, him riding around on his tricycle is technically
classic Chekhov's hedge maze. Is you don't put a hedge maze in Act 1 until you're going to pay off a hedge maze in Act 3. It's one of the great rules of
Chekhov's
cinema.
hedge maze. That's my band name. But these fine passages are only more frustrating since they reveal what the director is capable of and just how good the movie could have been. Gotta love those moments where they're like, the director just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
They were starting to
Flashes
figure it
of
out.
brilliance.
They kind of knew, but then they just, I don't know, weren't around that day or were hungover. I don't know what was going on.
You gotta wonder when you see someone who is like as undeniably accomplished at making films as Stanley Kubrick. Like when you see a movie that it's one thing to be like, I didn't like it, it's not for me, or I don't understand it. I do this might be a hot take, but I do think there are people who are so good at making movies that even when I don't like or understand a movie, that doesn't mean the movie's bad. That means I don't understand what's happening. So I like if I watch a Kubrick film and I go, I didn't enjoy that, my first thought is not that movie was bad. My first thought is like, what am I not getting out of this that was meant to be gotten out of it?
Yep.
And if at that point I investigate it and understand like, oh, here's what he meant and I still don't like it, then I can comfortably say, I think that was a bad movie or I don't like that movie.
I love the idea of you watching a Kubrick movie and not getting it and looking over and just kind of being like, I should have eaten before.
It's my fault for starting Barry Lyndon on an empty stomach.
It's just, I really should have. I was just thinking of hot dogs the whole time. Can
I tell you? This is an embarrassing one. I watched Barry Lyndon on a MacBook for the first time, and I spent the first like 25 to 30 minutes of the movie trying to adjust the brightness settings on my MacBook, thinking there was something wrong with, until I realized like, oh no, it's all just natural lighting and I'm an idiot. Like
did I drop my monitor?
Oh, it's set in the 18. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. There are no light bulbs. Of course not. Like, so stupid. I felt so dumb.
Between that and my story about watching the wrong side of the DVD of Goodfellas, I love that, like, we have a podcast about movies, and sometimes we just watch movies wrong.
We do them wrong.
Sometimes we don't successfully watch a movie, you know?
But you know what? I'll say this, true to form. I investigated the situation, understood the problem, and then when it was user error, not going, Barry Lyndon's bad, it's dark the whole time.
Yeah.
You'd think a director as accomplished as Kubrick would know that you need to light a scene in order to shoot it correctly.
I mean, he lit Dr. Strangelove fine. Why did he have such trouble with this one?
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God. Maybe we as an audience are just too sophisticated now. Perhaps a decade of thrills in films like The Exorcist, Carrie, and The Omen has left us shell-shocked. Still, Kubrick has made his reputation as a man who tackles a specific established film genre and makes it his own. He made the definitive Hollywood spectacle in Spartacus. He created the ultimate comment on the Cold War with Dr. Strangelove. He set the all-time standard for science fiction with films of science fiction films with 2001. The senseless violence and indiscriminate hatred of the 60s was forever illuminated in A Clockwork Orange. With that track record, Kubrick's followers had every reason to expect a solid, literate, and ultimately harrowing film in The Shining. End of the review. He let them down.
It really boils down to, I thought this would be a horror movie like other horror movies.
Yep.
Man,
yep.
If we had a nickel, buddy.
In a review about The Shining, your critique is, quote, maybe we as an audience are just too sophisticated now.
Yeah, we're all too smart for this movie.
we're too sophisticated for The Shining.
Having
The movie
having,
that's literally
having grown up with The Exorcist and Carrie, movies
Yeah.
that deal with vomit and pig's blood as
Yeah.
chief inciting incidents for horror, maybe we are far too highfalutin for something like The Shining.
Look. If you want to dig into the secret messages of a movie, Friday the 13th is where you got to go, because that you're never going to figure it out. You are never ever going to figure that movie
Do you
out.
see how the blood spatter on the wall looks exactly like a bas relief of the Grand Canyon? Was he saying something about checking out the Grand Canyon for some sort of unexplained mysteries?
Yeah,
no, it's
man.
unbelievable. No, it's silly. I do love the note at the beginning, because you know that this guy for years had to be, because it was from 2005, right? The writers
2020.
2020
And
2020.
And he has an end note here that I'm about to read.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll save my comment for
End note 2020. Some have pointed out that my criticism involving a helicopter shadow in the opening scene is unfair, since it was probably due to a projectionist error. Maybe, but I saw The Shining at its first U.S. press screening in the MGM Studio screening room in Burbank, and I can only assume it was shown in precisely the way the director wanted. Unlike most latter-day widescreen presentations of The Shining, this screening was in a nearly square Academy ratio of 1.37 to 1.
I love that in order to justify this thing, he has to go into fucking aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And despite my original dislike for the film, I still prefer that version, as it adds to the movie's claustrophobic atmosphere. So
no, you don't. No, you don't get to then go like, I love that. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to have a preferred way of viewing this movie after that review. Fuck off with that shit, dude.
Yeah,
no way. You get to go, I prefer the claustrophobia of the press screening that I saw in 1980, as opposed to what you plebs had to deal with the widescreen format that fixed the one issue I actually raised in this review. Unbelievable. I
almost prefer deleting the review from the internet so that I can't find it, 404 error, webpage not found, than, oh yeah, we'll post it online, but I get to go and put my little bookended 2020 reviews.
I'm gonna actually my own review and be like, the reason that I got to bring this up is because you idiots didn't get to see the version I saw. And it's like if that were the intended viewing thing, why would it be that the way that everybody else experienced the movie was not that way?
Yep.
He's like, that's how I must assume that's how it was intended to be watched. It's like, the answer is empirically not, because the movie's been changed accordingly. You saw a press screener and built your review around a technical defect in the first scene. It's just so funny that this guy had an opportunity to go back and correct the record, not at least
a fascinating article that would have been, to go like, I love it now, let's talk about
40 years later. I recognize now that it is a genre defining masterpiece in psychological horror. It is not a slasher film like the other things I explicitly compared it to. It's not, body horror like The Exorcist, or a Friday the 13th, or what was it, Carrie. It's its own thing, and something that everything else spent the last 40 years trying to take a little bit of that magic from. And just leave it there, instead of going like, was I right then? Or has the world gone crazy? It's...
All right, I have another one for you.
Oh my God, there's more? Oh, holy moly.
This is a second review. Christian Science Monitor.
Oh, perfect.
When shivers came from what you didn't see. August 28th, 1980. For my money, the worst disappointment of the year is The Shining. What a picture that could have been. a modern ghost yarn with an excellent cast directed by a master technician, Stanley Kubrick. Yet the result is a bore, sometimes gratuitously violent, compared to other horror movies in up to 1980. What?
Yeah.
One guy gets hit with an axe.
Gratuitously violent. Yeah. There's one axe. There's an elevator full of blood. I'll give her that, or him that, whoever wrote this. Elevator full of blood, but violence. You sleep with the kids. All right. Gratuitous? No.
Gratuitous?
No.
Shot like a snippet of a shot once for 5 seconds.
Like 3 frames. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes gratuitously violent and lacking logic as well as chills. You can tell the guy saw The Impossible Window and was like, nope, doesn't work. Fake set.
It's like you didn't even care. It's like Kubrick didn't even care.
Yeah. Other current thrillers such as Friday the 13th and the widely praised Dressed to Kill have a similar problem and are even more messed up in the taste department.
I really hope this person's talking about the Eddie Izzard special.
Weird horror movie. Really weird. Has Hollywood and Kubrick, its leading expatriate, simply lost the knack? It's worth taking a look at The Shining, if only to find out how Kubrick, Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and $18 million could have struck out so resoundingly. The basic story, borrowed from Stephen King's novel, is promising, but in any good ghost story, there's a simple basic secret. We have to care about the characters. Care so much that we go into a tizzy every time one of them wanders down a dark corridor. This is where Kubrick flunks out entirely. He cares about the lenses, his camera angles, and his tracking shots, which are brilliant to be sure. But the people in the story, they could be rats in a laboratory maze. In fact, Kubrick has added a maze to the tale. And he traps his characters there as if they were specimens whose quaint behavior could now be objectively studied. Okay, I'm sorry that, like, it's not holding your hand like Jack Torrance is like, oh man, I just got back from the soup kitchen helping out all those people in need. I'm a good person who you should love.
Yeah.
It's a little more subtle than that. He
has no save the cat moment. Yeah. No.
And none of the characters, I mean, I'm sorry if you couldn't get behind a child walking through, riding his tricycle through the Overlook Hotel. If you didn't care about the safety or well-being of the kid, I don't know what the kid needs to do to win you over.
That was my first thought too, is like there are effectively 3 characters in this movie. One is ostensibly a lovely woman. The second is the monster we all see from Jump. So we all know, and presumably anyone who's watching this movie has seen a preview of the trailers. I think I've seen the trailers at some point, but I don't recollect Jack being portrayed as the hero of the movie. You're not supposed to root for him.
No.
So you root for Shelley Duvall because she's a sweet person who cares about Danny and wants to get out of there and save her son. You care about Danny because he's a child.
Because he's a kid.
He's a kid. You don't need any other reason to root for a child than the fact that he's a kid whose dad abused him. Like, you root for that kid. You want him to do well. Oh my God. Just be like, I really can't get behind this kid. I if he dies, I'm going to feel nothing, like.
Perhaps this should come as no surprise. Kubrick has always been an ice-cold filmmaker. 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of the greatest movies ever made, but it's also one of the most frozen. And no one has ever accused Dr. Strangelove, A Clockwork Orange, or even Barry Lyndon of warming hearts. Right. In his science fiction films,
famously cold. So
yeah. Kubrick gets away with this approach because the subjects themselves have a hard metallic ring. But in The Shining, he gives us a chilly chiller. And if he doesn't feel for the heroes, why should we?
One thing I've never thought I'd hear is someone being like, I can't empathize with Shelley Duvall or Danny. They're
not enough was done.
As sympathetic a character as you can get.
King, for all of his lapses in the verbal violence and vulgarity, cares about the morality in his suspense stories, though parts of his books have enough mayhem and four-letter language to ruin them for many readers. Oh, I forgot Christian Science.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, bravo for getting through the movie, I guess. I'm always amazed. I've done a few of these from the Christian Science Monitor. It's not like, how dare they make a movie in such ways? It is like, no, I'm engaging with the movie as it is. I'm just missing the point.
I am just consistently not understanding it. In good faith, not getting what this movie's about.
Yeah. Though parts of his books have enough mayhem and four-letter language to ruin them for many readers, who starts reading a Stephen King book and then decides halfway through, that's vulgar. Oh no!
Goodness, I don't like this amount of profanity in my story, in my horror novels of all things.
Paradoxically, King admits that his books are sometimes roughly violent, and he grants that violence can be brutalizing to audiences. But I try to balance it off with a dose of nobility, he says, claiming that at heart his books are Christian novels that use terrifying situations as a vehicle for showing the basic triumph of right over wrong.
He really say that? I never knew that.
I guess.
I never knew that.
He says, claiming that there's a couple of his books I would kind of go, where's the Christian morality there?
Someone needs to jump about halfway through it in order to start having questions about whether or not he's trolling the Christian Science Monitor with that quote. But I would have thought the Christian Science Monitor would have had a lot more to say about, this is a movie that presupposes that the spirit is real, ghosts are real. If you commit evil deeds, you're punished by like eternal torture in the form of a hotel. I don't know. I would have thought that maybe they would have given it a better.
No, I think they would have seen all the skeletons in the lobby and gone like, only one person can rise from the dead. How dare they? Wow. No, I mean, it's fascinating. Yeah, for someone who does kind of devolve into talking about like, the gore and the gross out stuff, I'm surprised there isn't more of an emphasis on, usually those people don't engage with the movie intellectually at all.
Yeah. They shut off the minute that happens. Yeah.
It's strange to be like, no, I watched it and we'll talk about it. And I did my research about Stephen King's, relationship to the project, but also, how dare they? Yeah. All right. Are we ready to move on to two reviews and a line?
Yes, please. Sock it to me, buddy.
All right. It is that time for two reviews and a line. I will read 3 one-star user reviews for Stephen King / Kubrick's The Shining. 2 are real, 1 I made up. If Mick can guess the one that I made up, I will copy and paste it as a movie review with my own name attached to Rotten Tomatoes. It is breaking my heart that some of these that we've already done exist. These are really funny. I can't wait for you to hear these.
I'm psyched.
All right, review number 1, 1-star review. Okay, I know it's an old movie, but this wasn't scary. The biggest problem is focusing things around the kid. A lot of horror movies back then had kids. I guess because they're easy to scare and you're scared for them. But really, they're just bad actors, and that takes me out of it. Also, slow camera work and out-of-place music seals the deal. This shouldn't be classified as horror or a classic.
Whoa.
I love that. I love the emphasis on, like, get kid actors out of Hollywood.
It's not like never work with kids and animals. It's like no one should work with kids and animals. Yeah. Never allow them.
Review number 2. Most people I've met hate this movie. So when I came here and saw all the praise, I thought I had the wrong movie. 8.4. Are you kidding me? This isn't even a horror film. It's a long, hard slog of a movie with pacing, if you can call it that is almost comatose. There are
Almost
dozens of horror films. Almost.
Almost.
It wasn't comatose.
It's still conscious, but
Yeah, but only just. There are dozens of horror films that are better than this, so my advice is watch one of those. And no, I won't be watching this on Halloween. I'll be watching a classic.
oh, you gotta love a good. I love it when writers think that they're dunking on something at the end.
Yep.
Like, and for those of you keeping score, I'm not watching this on Halloween. Okay,
When you straight up like have 5 grammatical errors in your review, but you think you're serenading
you
us.
think you have the high ground, yeah.
Yeah. And review number 3. I love this one so much. Okay, I'm going to try to do this one with the punctuation as it is. I've been reluctant to watch The Shining for quite a while for no apparent reason, just waiting for the right time. Unfortunately, I ended up watching a drama film. I didn't get scared at all, even psychologically. I cringed so much at the music, and the music was stupidly noisy. I wasn't surprised.
Music does have an effect. It is noise. It's mostly noise.
It is noisy. We'll talk about it. I wasn't surprised, to be honest, because I watched one of the best horror classics, The Exorcist, before and didn't get scared at all. After all that, I realized these movies were made in the 80s, so it was scary in that timeline. But now, in 2019, it's different. Totally different in many, many ways.
Oh my God, in that timeline. In the timeline of the 80s.
Yeah, but my favorite part is I didn't get scared at all, even psychologically.
Even psychologically. Even in my brain parts.
like what else are you expecting in a horror movie? What kind of scares are you getting?
I didn't get scared at all. What was the first part of it? The first part of that?
I've been reluctant to watch The Shining for quite a while for no apparent reason, just waiting for the right time.
I love a good someone throwing in the word apparent when it serves no purpose. Apparent,
but also it needs to
apparent to whom?
It needs to be known there is not a comma there. So it's I've been reluctant to watch The Shining for quite a while for no apparent reason, just waiting for the right time. Like it's all one thing, one thought. Unfortunately, I ended. Okay. Oh, by the way, unfortunately is undercase the U, but I ended up watching a drama film. The D is
capitalized.
Is
yeah, that's marvelous. I love that. Can you read number 1 really quick for me one more time?
Okay, I know it's an old movie.
Did Bill Maher write this? Okay, people. Okay, people.
And I love like the proviso up top, like don't come at me because it's old, so it doesn't have to. Yeah. But this wasn't scary. The biggest problem is focusing things around the kid. A lot of horror movies back then had kids, I guess because they're easy to scare and you're scared for them. But really, they're just bad actors, and that takes me out of it. Also, slow
they're easy to scare, as if like you know, the virtue of having a kid on set is that we can spook them whenever we want. It's like we really mess with them. I guess because they're so easy.
This one also has. This one also has the slow camera work and the and the out of place music seals the deal.
Seals the deal.
This shouldn't be classified as a horror or a classic.
A horror or a classic. They're all great. I love them all equally, David.
Yeah, 2 is also really good.
2 is phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought I had the wrong movie. 8.4? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, I want 3 to be you. I'm gonna go with 3 because I want the comma issues and the capitalization. I'm going 3. Is it 3?
Okay. All right. No, I wrote 1.
Damn it! Oh, okay. Well, that was a good one. You hid in plain sight with that, buddy. I like the idea of the torturing kids thing. I should have known that was my friend Dave Columbo.
I just like the idea of like focusing on the psychology of someone going like, oh, I get it. You threw kids in there, like in The Exorcist and The Omen, to kind of like, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Right. It's so tired. It's cliche. Yeah, we get it. Kids get scared of things.
Yeah. I love that 3 is a real person.
Oh,
I love that so much.
Actually, Yeah, I am happier knowing that there's a person walking the earth who wrote that out.
Everything's a winner. Either you win,
There's no
or
downsides to this game.
horrific writers that exist out there. Again, I want to read
phenomenal.
the end of the third one again, just so you have it in your head. After all that, I realized these movies were made in the 80s, so it was scary in that timeline. But now, in 2019, it's different. Totally different in many, many ways.
Totally different. If you didn't know, when I said different, I mean totally different. We're in a different timeline.
But not
Captain
just
America
totally
and Iron Man
different.
went back and they put the Infinity Stones where they're supposed to be. So the 80s timeline, it was scary then, but it's not now.
I hear you, but if it's not clear enough by saying totally different, in many, many ways.
In many ways.
Like literally like the same thing. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, it's delightful. Well, this has been Off the Mark. Thank you so much for listening. Give the show a like, a share, and we are officially now on Instagram and TikTok at the Off the Mark Podcast. Give us a like and comment on the videos over there. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Hit us up on YouTube. Leave us your own 1-star review for any of these movies. We just have a blast doing this. And until next time, I'm Dave Columbo. I've been on DaveColumbo.com. DVD Columbo on Instagram, Dave Columbo on TikTok. Until next time, I've been Dave.
I'm Mick.
And this has been Off the Mark.